And I hope that, I hope that your day's going really well so far, even though for me it's just beginning, but maybe for you, you're already well into it. Hello, Robert. It's good to see you, my dear. Let's see here. I think I have everything clicked and going. I hope. um, oh, thank you, Robert. Are those hearts coming from you? That's very sweet. I appreciate that. Let's see. So I just wanted to begin by letting you all know that we still have space for the Light Holders Retreat, which is coming up this coming weekend. And I'm so excited. It was just, I can't wait to experience how Mother's going to build on the Light Bringers retreat and where we're going to go from here. I think it's just going to be pretty amazing. So to let you know that that is still a possibility if you are feeling called to be there, uh, we would love to have you. It would just be great. Ricardo, it's so good to see you. Glad you're here today. And Sherry, hello, hello. Thanks for coming today. I apologize for not really apologize, but I had to conserve my energy. I wasn't feeling so great, but fortunately it was super mild. Oh, I was so grateful. So grateful. I didn't have to cancel any of the private sessions or the small group classes, and they were just amazing. But I just felt so grateful. Because I certainly don't mind doing this when I'm feeling, not so great. That's one of the wonderful things about being Mother's channel is she has provided so much grace for me over the years and has really worked beautifully to raise my vibration so that when I channel her, it doesn't tire me out. I don't get exhausted or anything like that. So, um, uh, channeling her when I'm not feeling so great doesn't make it feel better so much, but it doesn't make it feel worse. So, it's, just very grateful. Sometimes the little things are the ones that make the biggest difference in my day, so to speak. So, uh, oh, Marie, it's so nice to see you, my dear. And Christine, hello, hello. 4 a.m. for you. Yikes. I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed, Christine. That's so awesome. Magenta Pink, hello. And kissy face back to you, my dear. And Barry, hello, good morning, good to see you. And Carol, I'm so glad you're here. Aren't they gorgeous? I know. These all from my yard. Things are, these leaves are doing fall colors, and we had an Indian summer here. We had some early rain, which is unusual for us, and then beautiful warm temperatures, and a lot of my bushes like blossomed again. I got a bunch more roses. I was like, yay! So those are the last of the roses for this year, and a lot of other things. The blooms are starting to fade, so I thought I'd do one last bouquet from my yard to celebrate the glory of late summer and early fall. Hello, Penny. It's good to see you, my dear. Oh my gosh, Magenta Pink, all the way from China. Fantastic. It's great to see you. Ooh, midnight for you. Oh, wow. And Christine is from Australia, so 4 a.m. for her. Um, You're welcome. I just like to say hi to everybody in the beginning here. Uh, all right, my lovelies. So, how about if we get started this morning? Hmm. Hmm. Hello, beloved ones. It is wonderful to be with you in this way. I thank you for joining me today to give of your time, your presence, and your love. Today, I'd like to focus on the natural or organic negative bias that is a part of being a human. So I'm talking about this today because in your world there is a kind of groundswell of negativity that is actually signaling big changes in how you all go about doing what you do, how you gather, how you relate to each other, how you govern yourselves, how you learn. All the institutional aspects of your lives are changing. And at this point, it can in some ways feel as though it's changing for the worse. But recognize that every groundswell has a kind of peak and then an overflow, and then it comes back into more balance. So the reason I want to focus on your natural tendency to have a negative bias is because it's going to be important for the next year, especially for the next year. So you may want to really explore this for yourself and make a concerted effort to create structures for yourself that can support your positivity. So the reason that you all have this negative bias is because it assists you in survival. So it's a species type of wiring, right, that you are given towards seeing the negative, perceiving the negative, paying attention to the negative, because in the beginning of your Homo sapien evolution, you needed that, because negativity did not necessarily mean that someone was being hurtful, but negativity meant that your survival was in question. So if you look at practical things like food gathering, better to err on the side of pessimism, to say, well, let's overgather, let's get extra just in case something happens that we can't anticipate. So better to have more than caught out with less. So a negative bias doesn't necessarily mean that you see the whole world as glass half empty, but it's more of a cautious way of approaching your lives, especially when you all have a group decision. Your community, your province, your state, your area, your country. When there is group decision, a negative bias can be a very positive thing, because it helps you to plan for an unknown future in a way that hopefully will have the best outcome. But over time and over the course of many civilizations, the rise and fall of these civilizations, or the continuation of these civilizations, what this negative bias has sort of become is not so much about survival in the immediate sense. Do we have enough food? Is the predator at the door? But it's more about interpersonal survival. So part of your negative bias gives you a little endorphin boost when you survive something that others don't. And that has become a little shadow throughout the course of history, and that negative bias has grown into something that tells you as a person that in order to survive, others can't. So your survival depends on others' death, others' subjugation. That your societal structure, civilization in and of itself, has sort of twisted that original intent for the negative bias. And because you don't have to battle the predators at the door, or most people don't, some still do live this way, and they tend to not have this heavy shadow with their negative bias, because they're utilizing it more in the way it was originally intended. Not so that parts of the species would survive while others perish, but so that the species as a whole would survive and flourish, right? But civilization has changed the way you all feel about survival. It has become much more internal, much more emotional, much more about you as an individual rather than a culture or a community or a global experience. And what that means is that this rush of endorphins that happens when you survive and others don't, it is sought out by some as a kind of validation of their power, their supposed superiority. And that endorphin rush of being the one who survives, if you contrive to bring that about, meaning you go out to harm others, to be victorious, you can hide that under the guise of defending yourself or wanting more territory, or you want this or you want that, and some people you gather around you want the same things. And there is something to the evolutionary understanding about the strongest species survive, and amongst each species, those that are stronger tend to survive and flourish. But what is happening now in your world with the change of these energies, the definition of strength is going to change. But that's going to create a lot of confusion or misunderstandings, especially in communication. So your own personal negative bias, I tell you all this, beloved ones, so that you can be kind to yourself. In the moment you hear that others are suffering or dying, you may be heartbroken. There may be great pain inside of you and heartache. And there may be that part of you that feels relief that you survived, even though you are thousands of miles away. And too often people shame themselves over this relief, this gratitude that you survived. But it's important that you feel that, because as a species, if you did not feel that long ago, most likely you all would have just perished from loss, from heartache. If you don't feel inside yourself that rush of gratitude that you have survived, why would you keep going? Why would you continue? So please try and sometimes take what you feel, what you experience, and remember that you have an instinctual brain as well as a higher functioning brain. And that instinctual brain plays a very big role in your decisions, how you function as an individual and as a society or a group, a community, a tribe. And what you may find is that with the change of energies that are planetary, you're going to feel that your instinctual self is more at ease. A collaborative energy, not just with each other as human beings, but all life on the planet. It feels more natural to your instinctive self. There is that instinctual understanding that the cycle of life is what it is, and that instinctual part of yourself has no desire to change it. It has no need to change it. It is only the higher brain in humans that want to change that or adapt it or manipulate it. So this negative bias that you have, I'm encouraging you to explore it, to make friends with it, to recognize that you're not a negative person just because maybe you see or you look for the problems first. Now, what happens when it gets tangled up and problematic is when you then hang on to those problems or use those problems to create more problems or to judge others. The negative bias exists so that you can navigate your life in such a way that to the best of your ability, it ensures your survival. But it was never meant to be used to tear you down, to tear others down, to become so deep into it that you change your very nature from a more positive childhood to a deeply pessimistic adulthood. Some people are closer to their negative biases. They are content to live life with the glass half full because it's not depressing for them. It is simply part of their makeup, how they see the world. That doesn't mean they're not happy, doesn't mean they don't have fulfilling relationships. It just means that they tend to be closer to that negative bias and maybe have misinterpreted it at certain points along the way. So this is something that is going to flare up. And what can happen, and this is where I'm cautioning you all to really pay attention, because this negative bias is instinctual, it is necessary. You may find yourself, if a lot of negativity is flowing in your communities, in your culture, in your world, you might find yourself getting more and more drawn into it. You might find yourself complaining more. You might find yourself worrying more. You might find yourself feeling anxious and stressed, even though your personal life is okay. There's nothing terribly wrong in your personal life. But you can really feel this sort of negativity ramping up. And for most of you here today, as highly sensitive, empathic people, your exposure to negativity is going to be much more than people who are not. So be careful that if you find yourself feeling more anxious, more worried for no personal reason, or maybe you have some issues going on or some difficulties, or you're worried about little this or that, but it starts feeling exacerbated, bigger and bigger. Stop for a moment and recognize that your negative bias may be getting pinged a lot. And so there starts to ramp up the feeling of hypervigilance, looking for the predator at the door that may not exist. Looking for the negativity in others because you start to become concerned about your own survival. So these things have a kind of cascade effect. And so I'm going to encourage you to pay attention in your daily life for that negativity. And when you start to feel it, go back and go back to the videos a few months ago, clear your energy. Again, you're going to need this a lot, beloved ones. Start to think about how you are consuming information. Do you have people in your life who reach out to you, and they are people who like to complain, maybe a family member, a friend, co-worker, and they want to complain about the state of the world or this or that, and you find yourself getting more and more anxious the longer you listen? Or are you on social media a lot, consuming what other people are saying about things that are going on in your world or in your community? And the way they are saying it, the way they are expressing their opinion really pings your negative bias. It gets you ramped up. It gets you anxious and worried. So over the next year especially, you may need to pay very, very close attention to what you are involving yourself with. If you can gain understanding about what's going on in your community, in your world, in such a way that is informative, that helps you to formulate good choices and decisions, but does not trigger your hyper awareness, your feelings of negativity, the feeling that you are overwhelmed, the feeling that you are suddenly anxious after listening to that person. So gather your information in ways that feel as calm and as simple as possible. Do not engage with those who are offering opinions or certain knowledge or information in a way that there is a very strong secondary motivation. And that motivation may be to stir you up, to hook you in, to get you riled up. People will always have opinions. You have higher brains. So you are always going to have opinions. And there are many people who want you to do something based on their opinion. And sometimes you agree with that opinion, and it feels right for you to take the action that is being offered. But be careful that you don't overlook that secondary motivation for them that may lean heavily into manipulation. Because if they share their opinion, or they share knowledge, or they share information, and they, through their own secondary motivation of wanting you to do something, and you are manipulated into doing that, and you react, that's not going to go well. That is not a sustainable way of living. So if you have to take time where you just don't consume anything from the outside world, that's okay. But again, that's also not sustainable. So you want to make sure that when you take things in, you take them in from a place of neutrality. And it is love that supports that neutrality. That you are not going to be pulled into other people's anxiety, stress, worry, what they want you to do, regardless of why they want you to do it. But you are going to stay neutral with love. And you take in the information, the opinion, whatever is shared, and you let love hold it. So that you don't react to it. You pause. You sit with it. And you discover if it feels right for you to take action based on that information, based on that opinion, based on the experience that you are having for yourself. It is the time where pausing will be golden for you. And reacting will be very problematic for you. And it is all right, again, to let your emotions be free. If anger inspires you to do something, to take action, that's all right, as long as it is not reactive. That's where anger becomes destructive. Feel your anger, let it inspire you, let it awaken you, but don't let it push you to do things that ultimately do not resonate with love, that do not resonate with your spirit. And if you do, you can make amends. That is the beauty of being human. To err is human, to forgive divine. Yes? So, you might find yourself buffeted, feeling sort of pulled or pushed in different directions. Clear your energy, stay grounded. Pay close attention to how you are consuming information. And remember your negative bias. That's going to ask you to be cautious, right? So let's use that instinctual negative bias in the way it was designed to be used. To pay attention, to give heightened clarity. Not to judge, not to reject, but simply to discern. What is the path that is being laid out before me with both the negative bias and my positive self, my loving self, my self that is radiant with light? Trust your whole self, that deeper self that is not designed to be fixed or changed, but is really here to support you. Let your instinctual self be a part of you. And trust that love will help temper or interpret your negative bias in such a way that you do not shame yourself for the feelings that you have when you survive. That you do not then judge others when you perceive something negative. That you do not reject the entire situation based on one or two aspects that feel negative to you. And I will remind you all that this life of yours, this beautiful life of yours, is not just about survival. Survival might be part of the foundation, but to thrive is to stand on that foundation and reach as high and as far as your heart and soul desire you to reach. Be extra kind to yourself, extra patient, and try and extend that patience to others. You are capable of making decisions from that place of loving neutrality. that is going to expand your life and the lives of others. So trust your whole self and know that I love you and I'm here with you always. Blessed be. Mm. Whew. That feels like very sage advice at this point. Particularly all that's going on in our country here in the US. And of course, so many things happening around the world. Yeah. So grateful for that. Kristen, oh, great to see you, Kristen. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, thank you. Oh, Magenta, that is so sweet. Thank you. I'm very glad to hear that. I agree, Kaya. I'm with you. Yeah, I hear you. It does get pinged, and recently more and more. Yeah, Christine. Yep. I think a lot of people are getting pulled into this. This, their negative bias is being exacerbated by the way we or they um, disseminate the information and how they take it in. I think it's certainly something that is growing in the world. Oh, good. Oh, that's great to hear, Christine. I'm glad. Yes. Sometimes not, Kaya. Sometimes not. Um, Me too, Penny. I agree. Yes, our radiant selves is absolutely. Oh, thank you, Jane, for remembering. I appreciate that. Yes, everybody, if you could remember to hit the like button. YouTube sure loves that as far as helping more people find Mother here on YouTube. So yes, please, if you could click that like, I would so appreciate it. We would so appreciate it. Pamela, it's so good to see you here, my dear. You are so very welcome. So, so welcome. I love you too, honey. Yeah, Ricardo, I hear you. You are welcome, Marie. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Robert. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, I think it's something that we are being called to do, those of us on this particular path, to really anchor that loving neutrality, maybe not to be the voice of trying to convince others to change their opinion or to change themselves, but just to be that presence, that solid presence, that doesn't really need to complain, because we have a relationship with love and light that is really sustaining. Not that we don't ever complain, because I don't think we'd be human, but that's not our go-to thing. I know most of you here in this community well, and I know, that's not our go-to way of communicating, is through complaining. It's just, it's about holding space, for others to find their way, and also to speak up and say, I would prefer that we not spend our time together complaining or gossiping or things that feel like tear ourselves down or tear each other down. Even if it's complaining about people we don't know personally, politicians or people in the news or whatever, complaining is, it's like judgment in action, that somehow life is not as it needs to be, that it should be different, and why isn't it different? And it's just it takes that. What it reminds me of, as Mother was talking about the negative bias, complaining feels like, this is what it feels like to me inside. It feels like that negative bias is super ramped up, and I feel helpless. Like I see the negative stuff, and I've either convinced myself, or I feel like there's nothing I can do about it. So complaining is this kind of helpless expression that just feels gross. I don't know what it feels so heavy, and like it's just going nowhere. You know what I mean? Like it's just going nowhere. And so, we can be the people that are solid in love, and can just anchor that, to be that light anchor in the world. Again, not necessarily to change anybody, but just, I don't know, to be a kind of oasis, maybe, Thank you, Christine. So glad you were here today. Oh, yes, Kai, I think we all have to. Anu, lovely to see you, my dear. Thank you for the hearts. Like their problems, I don't give a single thought about what they do with their life. Oh, that's great. That's some great, loving distance. That's awesome. Agreed, Christine. All right, my lovelies, thank you so much for joining us today. I am off here with the live streams for a little bit, but the next one is already scheduled. So I hope I get to see you here in the live stream. And if I don't, then I hope I get to see you in our retreat coming up our online retreat coming up this weekend, Light Holders. There's still room. If anybody would like to be a part of that, just go to our website, belovedpublications.com, and there you will see the details. All right? Love to you all. Have a fantastic few weeks. Mwah. Bye.